Hey folks, just sitting up here, wanted to do a little video today. I'm working on a painting here that's going to go in a frame that I picked up at Goodwill. I bought 4 of these frames. I'm just going to step over here a little bit out of the way. Hopefully the microphone on the camera will still pick my voice up, but I wanted to kind of hold this up here so you could see it. There we go. This is a frame that I picked up. I got 4 of them actually and got a pretty reasonable price. This area in here is like 11 by 14, and that's what I'm going to be working on today with this particular this is a canvas sheet, and I've already got it sketched out. I've got things drawn in. I've got a little bit of detail in here as to what the photo is going to be about. It's going to be monochrome. One color I'm going to use, it's blacks and grays and things of that nature, and I've got a little bed standing here on the rock formation. There's like a moon there and up in the sky, and there's waves over here and some few waves in the background too. But that's a little bit about what the picture is that I'm going to be working on. But really basically what I'm going to be doing here, and I'll try to get this camera in just a little bit closer for you guys just so you can see that, so you can get an idea of what that looks like there. I'm just kind of looking down a little bit. I've got here on my easel, I've got a camera showing the easel. I have got out on my easel, I've got some burnt umber, and I got some ultramarine blue. I'm going to mix up some color here, some blacks, grays, that kind of thing, and I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white to it, and I'm going to put this all over this canvas sheet right here that I've got taped down. In fact, I'm going to pull this up a little bit. I got like a little bubble in there when I first put it down several days ago. And what I did was with this is I took a pencil. It's actually a oil-based pencil, and I sketched this thing out, and once I got everything kind of sketched out, then I came in with actually a lead pencil, and that's a lot better. It's still just a little bit over here, which that's okay. It'd be all right. And then I sprayed over this with some workable fixative to seal this so it won't smear off onto my hand as I'm going through this and working on this painting today. I am going to use a little bit of some galcid material here. This is the medium that I'm going to be using. Looks like it's upside down based off my camera here on the palette. Just to kind of show you a little bit as to what that may look like. So I'm going to use a little bit of this because it is a fast drying medium, and I'll probably use a little bit of odorless mineral spirits that I keep in a little container like this, and then I can just squirt some of that into this little cup, and I can mix it all up. And then what I'll end up doing is I will have to add some white to it because I'm not sure. I do have a printout of what I'm using kind of as the photo reference here, so you can kind of get an idea of what this thing's going to look like. So I've got some darks in here, and the little man down here in the foreground are some darks. There are some darks here in the wave and a little bit in the back, and you got a lot of light colors in here in the moon area and down around in here and everything, the caps of the waves, and a little bit of the foam down here in the bottom too. And so I'm going to be working on this today, and basically what I want to do is get a color in and just color the canvas with a kind of a light gray. And I may take it further, I don't know yet, I may take it further to where I'm kind of blocking in some darks and blocking in some light colors, but I do want to get the canvas toned with kind of a lighter color, because I know some things are going to shine through that I want to come through on the painting as a base on the canvas. So we'll set this over here to the side. So I'm just going to start mixing some of this up, and probably what I'll do is I'm going to move this little bad boy out of the way, and I'm going to get some of my burnt umber over here and put it on my palette. Had to get me a new small palette knife recently, because I had another one. It was small, but it wasn't shaped exactly like this one. And I had a big canvas on top of my easel up here, and it was an 1.5 inch gallery wrapped, and I thought I had it secured, and the next thing I know, I was trying to paint the top and the edges, and that thing came falling down, and I just had to grab it and try to keep it from hitting stuff down here on the palette. But it did somehow or another. I don't know how it happened, but it just clobbered my little palette knife and bent it up, and which was kind of weird. And I thought, well, gosh, this is kind of crazy. So, but anyway, I was able to flatten it out a little bit, get some of the ripples out of it, the bends and dents and stuff like that. But it still doesn't scrape very well, doesn't mix very well. I kept it. I may try to piddle around with it, but I'm just using this today, this small one here. Just trying to mix up some of this ultramarine blue into this burnt umber. And what you have to do is you kind of have to test it out and try to get kind of an equal amount between the two colors that you're using. And I could tell, and I don't know if you can see it on the palette, but I could tell with this pile, the puddle of paint over here, I'm still seeing a lot of brown. So that means what? I need to come over here and grab some more of my blue. And this makes a good black, a real good dark black color. You can use this for rocks, and you can use it for grazing your clouds and things of that nature. And so that's why from time to time I will use just a mixture of colors, using these two instead of a black right out of the tube. And that's starting to mix up pretty good there. Now I can test this. I want to get as much off my palette knife as I can, and I'm going to take this little puddle and bring it all in here together. Okay, and just keep mixing that up a little bit. Now I do have a little bit of a titanium white on my palette already, and what I do is I'll just take a little bit like this, and just pop it down over here, because I just don't want to start mixing it in, because I might get too much titanium white, right? So I'm just going to take a little bit, just kind of like what's on the palette knife, clean that off just a little bit. Just going to grab a little bit of this right here, and hopefully it's picking that up. But you can see this is making a real nice gray color. I really like that. And just keep mixing that in. And that was just a little dab of white paint. I'm going to hold this up here, kind of checking it out. One of the things that I do, I'll share this with you guys, is, I stretch canvas and put it on stretcher bars. I also mount it on some panels, so I'll make my own panels. And lots of times you'll have little extra pieces of canvas left over, right? So what I do is I just take it and I just cut a little strip, and I just put them in a little clip like this, a little paper clip. You can see I got 6, 7, 8 or so, maybe 10 in there. And what I do with it is get this kind of mixed up, and this is kind of a dark, it's really dark, and I'll just put some on this canvas here so that it show me what it would actually look like if it was up here on the, putting it on the canvas. And that's a good dark for these darks in the rocks, foreground down in here, a little bit of the darks in the waves and that kind of thing. So I can adjust it based off of the adding additional white. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit more of this white, and I'm just going to come in here to this pile. You see I added quite a bit of that white, and it's lightened it up a little bit, which is fine, because I'm going to eventually take this and make me a pretty good pile of it, this gray. And I'm going to be adding my mineral spirits to it, as well as my Galcid fast drying medium, and I'm just going to coat it all over my canvas. Okay, so I'm toning my canvas today, basically getting it prepped, getting rid of all the white that's on there. This helps a lot too, in that if I was just start painting on here, I don't want little ghosts to come through, and little ghosts are little places in the canvas where the white's showing through, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so I'm getting a little pile there. I know I'm going to need some more, so with that gray color, so I'm just going to put out a little bit more of the titanium white, and I'm just going to take a pretty good bit of it here and just start working it in, and I'm just going to bring it all in together in this pile. Okay, and just take some more of that white, really working it in. So, and that's too dark for what I want. I can hold it up to the back. Yeah, it's still way too dark for what I want to do. Okay, how I want to tone this. So what do is I add more titanium white to the mixture, and I'll keep doing this until I get it to the value that I'm looking for. Okay, I just want a kind of a light gray value. Keep in mind that the base of this is ultramarine blue and burnt umber. It's my mixture. Okay, these two colors. That's starting to look pretty good, and I can hold it up here to the canvas and kind of take a look at it. I can also, excuse me, but I'm going to reach across here. Over here you can barely see a corner of my monitor that I've got mounted on a pole, but I've got the photo reference up, and I'm just holding it up to kind of the light in the sky in this area right here, because really what's going to happen is I've got some darks and everything, and it's going to get lighter to the horizon, and it's going to get darker again because of the ocean, but I want it to kind of just blend in, you know, kind of foggy, misty. So I'm going to have a kind of a gray area there. Okay, and that's looking pretty good, but I do want to add some more titanium white to it, and because I've got a little bit of a puddle of that other gray over there, I don't have to worry too much about mixing too much white in there, because I can just pull some white, some of the grayer color in and mix it and darken it up. So I'm not too worried about that. I kind of like this color. It's looking good. Make sure I get good mix. And I'm the type of artist that I like to pre-mix some of my colors. Some artists just go around their palette and dab their brush in it and everything, but what happens is you get those colors muddied up pretty quick. Okay, and you have to be careful with that, because if you got a lot of paint on your palette, you want to try to reuse it. You got to get that mud crap out of your color that you put out on the palette. So you definitely want to be conscious of that. And that's starting to look pretty good. It's starting to get a little bit closer to what I want, which is fine. And it probably needs to be just a little bit lighter, just for the sky area, because I'm just going to put this in, you know, all the way around. Now what I can do is I can wipe some of that out once I've got it stained. Right, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the canvas, and I'm seeing right now it's just way too dark, okay, for what I want to do. So I'm going to get some more titanium white, so bring it in, and I'm just going to mix all this in like so. That's a shade or two lighter value, and that's doing pretty good right there. I'm just going to add some in there. It's not too bad. Could probably add just a little bit more white if I wanted to. Okay, just come in with it, and looking at it, you know, in my pile right here, looking at it, it's just like, gosh, boy, that doesn't look too. It looks very light. I mean, you know, I've changed the value most definitely, and it's really light color there, but that's okay. It'll show up a little different when you get it up on your canvas, and that's looking better right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pile of this. I'll take this other white and just a little bit more of that dark there. I'm going to work this in like this, and what I'll end up doing is making this kind of a soupy color, or a soupy mixture in my little bowl here. Okay, and the thing about it is, these little plastic containers, majority of the ones that I use, probably no endorsement or anything like that, came from Steak and Shake. Not Steak and Shake, but Stakeout, the local company, restaurant. All they do is take out stuff, and they put salads and things like that. Sometimes they'll do, you know, mashed potatoes or something like this. And this, just save these things, guys. You can wash them out, reuse them, and use them for all kinds of other things in your artwork. That way you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of little bowls and things of that nature. So a lot of things that I have, like this palette here, is homemade. It's an 18 by 24 inch piece of glass that I got out of an old picture frame, and I painted it with a flat gray on the back side of it, and then put this in, and so this smooth surface. And then this up here, all this over here, this is an easel that I built, and then this is just a board that I've got this painted on right here. Alright, so I'm going to start adding a little bit of odorless mineral spirits, and I'm going to try to get this you know, kind of a soupy, watered down mixture here. Just want to add just a little bit of Galkit in there, just a little bit. Okay, that helps speed up the drying time. Alright, and we're just going to kind of mix all this in and just kind of get it kind of soupy. I just want to spread this all over my canvas to tone my canvas with this color. Okay, I'm just kind of mixing all that in. Get all the little bumps out. Get it down to the consistency that you want. Some people get it that it's just as soon as they start applying it to their canvas, it just starts running all down the side of their canvas, which is fine if that's the texture or the mixture that you want to that you want to use, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to add a little bit more of the odorless mineral spirits. I do use Gamsol's odorless mineral spirits. No endorsement from Gamsol, but I like their odorless mineral spirits. Use that. Break some of this down, and I can see that it's getting to the consistency that I want. And I'm just going to try this out. Okay, I'm just going to clean my little palette knife off there a little bit. I'm going to wipe it on my paper towels that I've got on my rack here, and then I'm going to reach over to my brush department over here, and I'm going to grab me a little brush. And actually going to get me a little, I use a lot of these little wipes that you can get at Walmart, because I got a bunch of paint all over my hand, and I always, when I paint, it seems like I get a little bit of paint on my hand, and sometimes I end up with it on my face. So didn't realize I had it on my hand, and I go to touch my face and I get blue paint, black paint, you know, gray paint, just whatever all over my face. So we'll just throw that over there. Now I'm going to dip my brush down in here a little bit, and then I'm just going to start applying this up here on this canvas. Okay, kind of toning the canvas in. Okay, all right. Just work this thing in, you know. I'm just kind of scrubbing it on, just kind of getting it worked into the canvas, and I can still see my drawing coming through, which is good. And I'll come in here in a minute and I'll try to wipe some of this out, and then I don't know if I'm happy with the color right now. It's a little bit it's weird. I don't know if my brush was, I clean my brush, but sometimes, you know, when you clean the brush, you might leave a little residue in it, and it's kind of got like a little brown tint to it, which is okay. I mean, when I first apply it to the canvas, I put it on canvas, I can see the color, but once I start spreading it around, it kind of gives me a little brown color almost to it, which is okay. I'm just trying to cover the canvas, trying to get rid of the white on the canvas. And that's the whole purpose of toning your canvas. And because I'm using a gray color, there's a French term for this, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce it Grisaille or Grisaille. Don't judge me if I didn't pronounce that correctly, but you can do what's called a bistre, B-I-S-T-R-E. It's French for if I used earth tones like a transparent red oxide or a burnt sienna, something like that. That's more of the earth tones. And you know, you do an imprimatur, which will, you know, covering the canvas, and then you can come back and do the actual bistre or Grisaille, and you use gray colors and all for that. But you start wiping away and you get darks in, you put darks in, and you know, basically what you're doing is you're doing a blueprint of what your painting's going to look like. Okay, so all right, I just stepped away for just a second there, and I went over to one of my little storage areas, and I got some old t-shirt rags, and I don't throw my old t-shirts away. I keep my old t-shirts and cut them up, and they make some great rags. And sometimes I'll use an old towel that we're getting rid of. I might use an old towel. I'm just kind of wiping this out a little bit because the lighter stuff is about where this person's head is. So just going to lighten it up around here a little bit over here, a bit, and then I'm going to come in with a little rag. And I'm going to take off some paint. So this is where my moon's going to be, okay? And then I'll come down here where I've got some of this, and I've got some white caps right in here. So I'm just going to take all this out, as much as I can out, with my little rag, so I can get kind of the look of the white caps there. That's pretty good. And then I'm gonna come over here to the other side, and use your photo reference so you can make sure you got where your lights and darks are. And because this is kind of a no-tan to a certain degree, I know where my lights and darks are. But that's something that I suggest you can do too, is you can do what's called a no-tan. You can take a color photo, and I've got an app that's on my phone, and I think I have it on my tablet, or had it on my tablet. I think there's software online that you can use, to upload your photo to. And what it will do is it will give you, you can do it at different levels. You want 3 levels, 4 levels, 2 levels, and then just show you where your lights and darks are. And it will help you in creating something like this, so you know that, hey, this area does need to be, this is the lightest light right here, and the moon, and then there's also some little places in the waves. Because see, we got a little bit of moonlight coming kind of down this particular way, but I definitely have some whites right here. So I'm just kind of wiping this out best I can with my finger. Now I did get this a little lighter as well, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry too much about that. And I do have a lot of lights, colors down here where all this foam is. There's this waves have been coming in, okay, crashing around this rock formation, a lot of foam, interesting formation there. So I'm just kind of taking some of this out, just kind of give you an idea of what that looks like a little bit. And did have that little wave back there. Now there's some, I don't know what I did with it, if I got it over here in my little drawer with all my little stuff, but I'm going to look for it and see. I threw it back over here. I think I see it. Get my hand on it. You get these little tools that you can wipe colors out with it, which is really neat. You can kind of rub it in and scrape some color off. So I can take my rag and use it, so I can be maybe a little bit more precise in taking color out. like that, and come over here and do that. Do that foam right there at the top, and down here as well. Kind of go up. There's little ridges and where all this forms, and it's really kind of cool and neat. It does all that. And there's little places along in through here. Just trying to get a idea what it would kind of look like up through there. And we'll take some of this out back here a little bit. Like so, and these are little waves out here too. But then, like I said, we've got the moon shining and some highlights right up through there around the sky, so to speak, and then the ocean just kind of blends in with the background there. And I'm going to put a little bit more color, probably right here. Because earlier I'd wipe some of that away. I don't want to wipe all of it away. I still want to have this, this ocean in here, like that. And I'll add some over here. You can see that you definitely have some darks out here, and of course every now and then you got to stand back and look and see, okay, if I got this going straight across, am I sliding down a little bit? I want to even that up. And of course the ocean rises and falls, so this doesn't have to be perfect. You know, we're going to kind of misty this in our painting. So right now I'm just going to kind of come in and kind of blend that in a little bit, just like that. Okay. So all right, that's looking good right there. One of the things I can do is I can come on my palette here and I can come and get some darker color like this. And I can just kind of paint it in. Okay. Get these shapes in, just get some dark colors in on the canvas. And you get some, you know, rock formation in there, like that. And put some more in here. I'm just using the same brush, and I could probably have used a smaller brush for this, but it's okay. I'm just blocking in, just blocking a lot of this in right here. These are where some of the darkest darks are. It's in this rock formation. As we do this, we start to see our painting take shape. And if we want to change something from our sketch that we've done, we can definitely do that now. And just take something out, put something in if we need to. It's really kind of cool in doing this. not bad. This is kind of, you know, experimenting a little bit. I haven't done the grays before. I've usually, when I do some landscape paintings, I use some earth tones. Transparent red oxide is one that I primarily use, but I have started using some transparent yellow oxide, and that makes some quite interesting color in the imprimatur of the bistre that I create. Like I said, I'm just trying to get some darks in, just to where some of the darker darks are going to be. Not worried too much about details. Like I said, I'm just getting some dark color in. Okay. I could add a little bit of dark up here on this dude. No, I'm using a brush that's too big, but I had a little bit of paint on my brush, so I thought I'd just kind of paint that in a little bit. We got a little bit of a shadow that comes off of this guy. Cast on the rock there, and you got a little bit of lighter color through here. Tone it down just a little bit like that. Shapes in there. So it comes down like that. And then I have a little bit of color coming up through here from the down here at the base where this, you know, where this water is. And get some of that dark in color. A little bit of that lighter gray over here where the water is. This wave is crashing and water's collecting down here in the bottom and doing all kinds of funky things down in there. And you know, we got a lot of dark up in here in this wave, and just getting some dark colors in. Get some shapes, and then there's some more kind of darker colors back here, because I have another wave that's building up and kind of crashing a little bit. So we got a little white foam on that, and then we have over here on this side we have another wave that's doing its thing. It's part of this one here. It kind of comes on around the side of this rock. Can't really see it, but it's there. And we got some darker darks out through here a little bit. It's going to come in here. A lot of activity going on out here in this ocean. There'll be some white caps and some highlights, you know, around this dude. So I'm gonna put that brush over there, and then I'm going to get a smaller brush over here from my old brush pile, And quite frankly, I'm going to use, I think this is like a little filbert brush, and it's a synthetic. So I'm just coming in here and working on this guy. Get these darks in. I'm about to run out of some of the paint mixture that I put on my palette, which is fine. I'll just make do with what I've got here. Let's just kind of show you where he's at on the picture, on the painting, where he's going to be. And so, and there he is. And if I wanted to, I could come back in with a smaller brush like I'm doing here, and I could add a little bit more detail and maybe some finer lines if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kind of carry this down because there are some darker colors that kind of come down into this valley area. Okay, like so. And there's more darker color over here in this rock formation, because you got some rocks over here on the right side that hide what's going on down in here where the water's working itself around. I'm just kind of working with this a little bit, just scrubbing that in a little bit, like that. But yeah, I've kind of run out of a little bit of my paint, and what I'm doing now is I'm just dipping my brush into the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber, and just trying to make a little dark mixture here, so I can kind of complete this process over here for you, so you can see it. Just kind of mixing this up a little bit, getting it to the value that I want. And, okay, let's come in here. Like that, because I wanted to show you these rocks right here. Okay, this is actually going to be a little darker right up through here. Yeah, but I wanted to get this in. You can kind of see that area there. This is probably a little darker over here too. I'm just going to kind of outline this rock formation over here. Kind of comes down a little bit, like right in there. Some more little stuff going on. There's a rock over here. You know, it kind of comes out. You could walk out on these. This one kind of slopes down a little bit. I may round this one off just a little bit like this. It kind of runs down. This is all kind of dark back in here. But other than that, I think I kind of got it. Now, there is some darks up here in the sky that I didn't put in, but I'm not going to worry too much about that, as I'm going to use my photo reference to help with that. But I just wanted to kind of get this in today and just kind of show you a little bit about doing imprimatur and Grisaille, if I'm saying that right. It's a French word for using grays, okay, the gray tones. There's also another one you can do with greens, and I can't remember what that one's called, but I know with the earth colors, earth tones of like transparent red oxide and transparent yellow oxide, it's Bister, and that's kind of cool. So I encourage you to do some of that. Play around with it, learn from it, you know, experiment with it. This little cup here, this little container, I'm going to wipe it out, clean it out. I'll use it again. I've got, you know, several of them overall by storage area over there, and I think it's going to work out pretty good. I'm glad I had the camera down here so you kind of see what's going on with the palette. And if you got any questions about any of this, I mean, feel free to hit me up and let me know, and I'll be glad to, if there's something else you want me to do, I'll be glad to do that as well. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and catching another episode of Painting with Victor Grisaille. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends, fellow artists. Give me some feedback, some thumbs up, comments. But I enjoy doing this, and one of the things I thought about doing, just real quick for you guys, is people want to know what's it like, what's a day in the life of an artist, and I thought about just doing a time lapse of me coming in the morning, getting a cup of coffee or getting a cup of hot cocoa, whatever you drink, and maybe my breakfast in the morning is Mountain Dew Zero and a protein bar. No endorsement for Mountain Dew, but anyway, that's my breakfast. And then I got to get started for the day. Do a little sketching, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, thanks guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next video. Take care.